Okay. Hi, everybody. Am I on the right thing here? Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, hopefully.
Hi, everybody.
Whoa, that's you, Lisa.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Well, hopefully. Whoa. That's you, Lisa.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. You have headphones on, right?
I do.
Okay. So, you haven't done a live. I don't know if I'm getting the comments here, but okay. I don't know if you've done one of these live in a while, so this is going to be kind of fun to run through for sure.
Yeah, I haven't
Hey,
been live.
hey, Nick. Hey, Arturo. What's up, guys? Um, so let's just start at the beginning a little bit. I'm glad some of these people are showing up because hey, if you guys see any trolls in here at all, do what you got to do. But you all know that anyway. Nick, by the way, I'm glad that worked out. I'm glad that you got the the curry run today. That was a big one, and you got paid well. So,
Yeah.
so Lisa, okay, you haven't done one of these in a while.
Right.
I know you're still doing your channel. You and I just talked about that a little bit. But so I started in 2014. You started in 2018, still way pre-pandemic with Uber, right?
Yes.
Just Uber.
Correct. Yep.
And you did that for 6 months. I'm just going to kind of run through the timeline a little bit for myself because of some of the things we'll talk about. And then kind of the end of 2018, if I did the math right, you added Lyft.
Yeah.
And then shortly around there too, then you started adding the food platforms in what would have been early 2019. So
Yes.
you did them. You did see this is something that interests me. You did the food platforms a year plus before the pandemic. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm interested. Are you what do you have to say about the food platforms in pre-pandemic?
Well, I was mostly a rideshare driver.
Right.
I signed up for I'm not sure if you know Driver Lady Pro. Her name Mandy. Well,
Mm-hmm.
she was going through a lot of chemo and a lot of tests with the doctors. So I used her code to sign up to all the food delivery apps to help pay for, so she could get the referral money
Okay.
for the food. So I really started doing the food platforms right before the pandemic. I really wasn't into them. I was doing Uber Eats because I was doing Uber, but I didn't really start getting into them right before the pandemic. And
So yeah,
I'm sorry.
the main reason I ask is because the everybody I know in Denver's a great gig market for all the platforms. Even the ones that don't do well here still do better than most cities, I think. But nobody that I knew in 2019 was making anything on food. These platforms were coming around, but nobody was making anything. I mean, it wasn't until March of 2020 when things happened with the pandemic and COVID, and then the CARES Act got passed at the end of the month when people decided either I'm not going to work at all, or at least I'm not doing rideshare, I'm pivoting to food. And like even all the rideshare drivers I know at the time, first of all, they all pivoted to food and they had all avoided food like the plague all the time
Yeah.
because there is a different type of person that prefers rideshare. I think that maybe you're one, I'm one, I at least was one back in the day. I can't say that anymore, but I mean, I way preferred rideshare, but so nobody made money on any food. And the day the pandemic happened and the CARES Act passed, if you did try and stick around and be a driver, well, good luck because there were no passengers, number one, because everybody was
Yeah.
told stay at home. The only people like that, I mean, I had a couple of friends that tried to stick it out here as a little bit, which I was surprised on. But the only things they were doing was taking people to and from the hospital. That was it. Not people that were sick. It was more like doctors and stuff needing rides.
Yes.
But still, it was just they were like, this is kind of creepy. It's just, there's nobody taking rides.
Yeah.
So they did other things. They didn't want to do food. I had some that moved to food because they were fine with that. But nobody I know made any money on food, any money at all, until March of 2020. There was nobody I knew that was like, "Oh, I'm on Uber Eats, DoorDash, any of these," and said, "Oh, I rage it." Nobody was afraid. Like, I mean, almost, which is weird because since when rideshare started, everybody raged it. When the food started, I don't think anybody ever did well. And you were kind of
Yeah.
signed up around that time, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I tried it, but like you said, there wasn't a whole lot there. I wanted to get the referral money. I wanted to make sure that the bonuses, I got the bonuses anyway. But I was more of a rideshare driver. I was watching a lot of, well, actually, Gig Coach Jake. I was watching him, and then I started watching UDM, and I'm thinking, wow, this food, it seems a little difficult. I mean, Jake used to have like his board up, and he used to analyze everything, how much money you want to make, and how many miles you go, and everything. And I'm sitting there thinking, the first year that I did rideshare, and it wasn't even a full year, I turned into my accountant 44,000 miles, and I'm like, so miles to me didn't really mean anything
Mhm.
until then I started learning, watching them. I learned how, how the pay structures worked. And back then, we were getting more money with DoorDash because they were kind of keeping most of the tips, or they were using our tips to subsidize the pay. So we were getting paid more at the time. So it didn't really phase me because I was also doing rideshare and doing that, and I was didn't realize that it was like multi-apping until multi-apping became a thing. I had two phones because I also watched the Rideshare Professor, and he did a video on what it's like to have two phones as a rideshare driver. Because at the
Right.
time he was a rideshare driver, and it was easy to look. If you had one phone for your driver, the second phone you passenger app, so you can position yourself where there isn't a bunch of cars, where you would be able to get more rides. So that's how I was learning that. And then when I put in food, and then I decided, well, I got the apps, I might as well utilize them when there's downtime, because in rideshare there is downtime in rideshare. Even back then there was. Um, I put them on, and I didn't even. I was just playing with the apps. I had food delivery on one phone, and I had my rideshare apps on the other phone, and then I just went between both phones, and
Yeah.
that's how I worked. I didn't even realize that multi-apping was a thing at the time. It was just how I worked. And then I watched them and everything. So I was learning, and then I was like, wait a second, maybe I noticed when I was checking out my miles. I'm like, when I do food delivery, I put on less miles on my car. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Let me try that then, and I was looking at the dollar a mile and everything, and I'm thinking, no, that's too low, because if we're gonna get paid, what was it, 56 cents a mile, and I think my job pays 78 cents a mile. I want to make more than that, So if I'm gonna do this as income for more money, well, then I don't want to be making what either the state or the government wants me to make, or what my own job pays me per mile. I want to make
Right.
more. That's
Yeah.
the idea of having this. So I was going to about $2 a mile at the
So
time.
what when you onboarded, what was the highest rate you were getting? Or how was the breakdown working? Because it worked so much different when I onboarded, and I'll tell you in a second. But like when
When
you
I
came on in
started,
2018 with Uber, how was that? Was it a percent? I'm pretty sure by then every market was not using a percentage anymore. So it was just there was
it
some rate
was
involved.
73 cents a mile, I think it was at the time. But and then they had the they had the percentages. So, and I'm in a very small market,
Mm-hmm.
so it the whole Syracuse area and
It's not well. Syracuse isn't
outwards,
that small, is it? I mean,
142,000 people,
I mean,
and
it's
we got
well.
a big university.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So
Oh,
basically,
so summertime is pretty
yeah,
bad.
basically, yeah, the summertime is definitely the downtime for rideshare and food delivery. Actually, for this area, actually, it's kind of creeping downwards. But I would, I think with DoorDash, so with Uber, I was making like 73 cents a mile. Lyft was about the same, and DoorDash was paying $5 per delivery. It was either $5 or more. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember. It was
It was more of
DoorDash
a.
paid
Was it
pretty
more of a?
well.
Was it more of the like when I started? It was. I had splits. I started with Lyft first, oddly, but like I had splits. I had like 90% 10%. And there was a bunch of ways to look into like more information on that, but I made so much money every night that I didn't need to care about the breakdown. I know that sounds horrible because these days we all need to be doing the breakdowns,
Yeah,
making sure that that's only because they brought it down so much. But you got to remember in 2014, 2015, they were still populating Denver and most cities outside of California. So when they came to Denver, they needed to like be grabbing drivers and even throwing money of their own at it just to
yeah,
keep you on the road because they needed to have, their the theory was you can't have a Lyft or Uber person in the early years get even upset once. They'll never use it again because they're already getting turned on to this crazy thing about what some dude's gonna pick me up in his car. Okay, like like
yeah.
I,
That's how.
and I've said
Um,
it a few times that like honestly like I in the beginning people would be like, so how long are you doing this? And I kind of was laughing because I'm like, it's only been here a month. Like how many do you think? Yeah,
that's
I've been doing it for a month, it pays as good as some of my bartending shifts.
oh
So
my god. Yeah,
I
right.
mean, like whatever. I mean, the pay that's kind of where the pay was. And then obviously through the years I kept moving to spreadsheets and different ways to break down what I'm earning using Stride, trying these other apps and stuff. To just make sure I'm tracking everything and everything. But all that came into play when the money started going down. There was a time I didn't need to look because if I worked 5 hours and had $480, I'm like, I don't care where that came from.
I remember when I would do Uber on a Saturday night, and within 4 hours, I had $250
Yeah,
because they had the percentage um, bonuses.
yeah.
And in my
Are you talking about
area,
you're talking about the multiplier, not
the
the flat rate?
multiplier,
Yeah.
right? And it was always 2 point something percent or higher,
Hmm.
always. So when they went down to a dollar or whatever, oh God, really killed me. The
Yeah.
financially, you could see the big difference.
Yeah.
But that's how I decided to do rideshare for the same reason. Is um, there was a guy I worked with, and he was taking Ubers to Uber home. And I was like, what the heck is that? And he's showing me on his phone. He's like, look, this girl's coming to get me. And he's showing me how he's tracking her on his phone and stuff. And he's like, oh, and I can look at this. This is all about her. He's like, isn't she cute? And he loved it. He loved the Uber app because when we got it, it was in New York City, but the rest of New York State didn't have it. So when I started, Uber had been in New York State and upstate New York for about 6 months when I got on it.
Hmm.
And my kids kept calling me a taxi driver. Oh,
So
I would
wait,
get so mad.
it was that late that Uber got to Syracuse? It was
Oh yeah,
2017 and early 2018?
2018. Yeah, it
Wow.
was 2017, 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was 6 months. Somebody that I know, Chris, he used to live in North Carolina, and he was a rideshare driver down there.
Hmm.
And so when he was home in Buffalo, when he came home back to Buffalo, he just went right back into it. So he's been doing it a long time because he's somebody that I would ask a lot of questions to because he was so knowledgeable because he had been doing it. I think he said he was been doing it since 2016, 2015, something like that.
Yeah,
So I
that's
wanted to get
yeah.
people who were doing it for a long time because I had no idea. The first time I got the app, I like literally left my phone on and I'm watching the thing going off and it's looking like you know how it wants to the old app where it used
It
to pair the
flashed.
driver. Yeah. I would let it just sit there
The
and just do
seizure.
its
I loved that. Beep beep. You'd be
it
driving at night, and I got my glasses on anyway, so I'd be like,
was yeah, it was weird. I didn't understand it, so you know, I was lucky though cuz I was probably one of the fewer ones that found YouTube
mhm,
because I was getting on the internet looking for Uber drivers or whatever um, to see what was all about. Because literally, I didn't know about it. Because like Chris, you know, he showed me it's a different person. He showed me his phone and showed me the Uber app, so I just signed up for it. I thought, wow, that's cool. So I'll just sign up for it, which that
mhm.
I ended up doing. But I had no idea what it really entailed. I knew that I would be taking people places or picking people up, but literally, I went into this with complete blinders on.
We all did. I think that
Yeah.
if somebody starts now today, they still do, but it's not the same. Like when even for you years later after me, but me, like I did the same thing. I turned it on. I'm watching. I'm like, wait, what? And I knew what was going on. I knew they're like, okay, this is your ride. You want it? I'm like, I think it was probably the third one that I actually grabbed, and there was nothing wrong. I mean, at the time, there was I wasn't like gauging anything. Obviously, I'm just trying
Mhm.
to get up to the nerve to take one. I'm like,
That's
you
exactly
know,
that's exactly what happened to me. And I went and I accepted one ride, and I was picking a lady up up the street. She was from the beauty salon. She was getting her hair done, and I was picking her up and taking her home. And so she was like easy, you know. But like I've been in customer service for years, like for a long time. And so, you know, I would always talk to people and everything, but I didn't realize that when you are doing rideshare, people don't want to talk to you. You know, I'd be talking to her and, you know, I knew where I picked her up and I'm like, oh my God, your hair looks great. You know, what'd you have done? You know, whatever, and talk about the color, whatever. She didn't want to talk to me. I didn't realize that passengers just want to ride home. They really don't want to talk.
most.
And I have the gift of gab. I'm telling anybody who knows
Yeah.
me will tell you that that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I was always I think you're probably the same way, especially I mean, I always was all the way, through all I mean, I'm close to, I'm like I say it 30,000, but it's actually like 29,652. That's how many rides I've done between Uber and Lyft. So I'm just Sergio's, right up there too. So between us, like we're like 60,000. That's why our interview was pretty
Wow.
random too. Yeah. So it was like, who can do that? Before we go any farther, I want to run through this. I didn't see all this string of people. There were a lot of people saying hi to you. So we got Nick said hi. Said hi, Lisa. And let's see. Arturo.
And Kim and
Yeah, yeah,
Thomas is
yeah.
here and Universal Gigster.
Thomas.
Ellen is here.
Yeah.
I have to
Hi.
run through my
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
Arturo. Hi, Arturo. I hope you're
Yeah.
feeling better.
Yeah.
I remember you saying
Right.
that you weren't feeling well,
Mhm.
Nick. I
Ellen
didn't mean to
says
take
looking
over your
good,
stream.
Lisa.
Bud Soda and
Curry is amazing.
Dominique. Oh yeah, I saw that live stream with Nick today too. Because I was actually in bed because I work. You know, I when I came home, I turned on
Mhm.
my TV and my YouTube on my TV. I can't see the chat, but I can actually watch um, the video or the live stream. So I was watching Nick go and doing his courier run. That is amazing. $200 to go 90 miles?
More.
That
He
that's
made he
amazing.
made like Nick, you'll have to post it, but I think it was like 240 or 260.
I know that where he said he was going, I checked the MapQuest from my house, and he was only going 48 miles from where I live. It was going 90 miles from where he lives.
Right. Well, that's how they pay though, especially when it's the paint. What's up, Pedro?
Hi,
um
Pedro.
uh and then he wants to know how did Steve get Lisa to come on?
$276, he said.
Yeah, see, and I'm telling you, we've talked about this a lot. This app, I a lot of people have said to me, "Is it really that much different than the other apps?" Come on, I mean, then we know there's a little zone. I'm like, it is in every market. I mean,
Well,
there's no reason everybody shouldn't be signed up for Curry because even a Prius works. It's not going to get you as many opportunities as bigger cars or trucks or vans or you know
yeah, I have an
like
SUV. I have a
yeah.
Forester.
So I have an S. So yeah. So I've got my Toyota Rav4, and I get a decent amount of orders. But I mean, like even a
Mhm.
car does too, because when it's just paint, and a lot of it is that they have the oh, not Glidden, it's Sherman-Williams. Curry has an exclusive contract with Sherman-Williams, so the other gig apps can't be pulling their paint anymore. So if a contractor needs 5 gallons of a specific shade of blue or whatever, and it's
Yeah,
in your market, but it needs to get to Albany, they don't want to send one of their people, but it's worth like $500, $600 to a contractor to get that 5 gallons there in 3 hours from Sherman-Williams to Sherman-Williams. So it's like, it's like them paying like 10 times as much, but they don't care. They need to get these jobs done. These are houses being built. I mean, I've even done I did a route for a couple times for them, and to be honest, uh like even that, like I found myself having to use Apple Maps
yeah,
because I use Waze. I know some people use Google Maps and we all have our preferences, but neither of them were working to get me to these because they were all places that were being developed.
yeah.
So somehow Apple Maps is awesome. Like I never knew, and they are like they're the best now. They're my favorite.
I
And
love Apple Maps.
yeah,
I have a friend who can't stand Apple Maps, and he can't stand it. But and I like he uses the Waze app, and he's in New York City. And when I'm in New York City, I use my Apple because it kind of gives you a block to block, and actually shows like buildings and where
hmm
you're supposed to be type thing. And it works in like new developments, like in
yeah,
Camillus out here. They're building new properties all the time, and the only thing that you can find them in is Apple Maps. You
right.
can't Google Maps will not recognize all the new developments.
No, in fact, I had to call Curry support a couple times because that's one of the few issues is that I'd be like, listen, I'm on Adams in Aurora, and they're like, well, you're supposed to be on Adams and Golden, which is like 40 miles away. And I'm like, what? And I checked it in 2 apps at the time. I got to be honest. I'm a Apple person, and I never used Apple Maps. Or maybe I did and hated it like way back and just said
Mhm.
no. But I don't even remember that. I don't think I even ever used it. And then when a couple other Curry drivers told me, dude, use Apple Maps. It's the only thing that can find where you need to go.
Yeah,
And so I started to, and I was like, did this used to suck and now it's good? Because like now I'm all sold on it and think it's awesome.
I had
I
a
mean, I'll keep playing
customer
with it.
tell
We'll
me
see,
that.
but yeah.
She lived in the one of the new housing developments, and I was using Google, and I called her. I said, I think, like you said, you were on the wrong side of the road. And she told me, she goes, put on your Apple Maps and then type in my address. It'll bring you right to my house. And it does. The Google Maps, I don't. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't like it because I travel a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and Apple Maps will give me a better direction or a better way of getting places than I
Mm-hmm.
found that Google Maps does.
Yeah, well, so speaking of you traveling a lot, so I had a friend because we got to talk about how many markets you work in. I mean, I think it's great, and in fact, here's my preface to it: is that I have a friend who drives up in Idaho that's been on the podcast a couple times. His name is Jason Pease. You guys might know him, maybe not. His YouTube channel is Drive to Win 13. Um, really cool guy. But he took his RV and with his Prius in tow during the
Hmm.
pandemic. And he's been a rideshare driver only, said never food. The day the CARES Act passed, he onboarded to every food platform. And
I
then he
think
did it
everybody did.
right. He did it for like a month in Boise, Idaho, where he lives. And then he said, you know what? He said, I got an idea. I'm gonna get on the road and teach people how to do this that I know in different cities, get them signed up and push them to hit the goals and stay there till they do. And that's
Yeah,
how he was making money. And he actually traveled the country twice in the
dang,
RV with the Prius in tow.
that's more
And
than I did.
right. So I mean, he was doing this and learning all these different markets. And I had to ask him, I was like, a couple times, did you deliver in the RV? Because that would have been awesome. Your food pulls up in an RV. But his reasons were a little different. So he wanted to get people signed up. He wanted to keep people going on this, and it wasn't like he was going to train you. I mean, he would. And he's very smart. He's got some videos up on how to do some things, but he's also very smart and can help you. Um, but these aren't his markets. It was more about staying there and knowing people he knew that needed to be working too because of the pandemic. Other things had gone through for them, so he was more their motivator. Like, hey, hit that goal so we get this
Nice,
bonus, then I can bounce. you know.
right?
But so for
Especially when things went haywire and nobody was making any money, especially the
and
rideshare
that's what I'm
drivers.
saying. Like that was what was so cool about it was that he did that, during
Yeah,
that time. Like my pandemic memories aren't all the best. And, a lot of like obstacles and stuff. He just said, hey, let's go to delivery like most people. But then he totally flipped the script and did something nobody had ever done.
right.
Because when he actually was on the podcast when he told me about that for the first time, and I was like, but you can't drive out of your state. He's like, not rideshare, but you can on all the delivery platforms.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
I was like, oh, because I didn't know. And but now here we come to you. So you do rideshare in Syracuse, or you've done it in Syracuse, Buffalo,
Yeah, that's my
West
market.
Westchester County. Is Westchester County your market?
Westchester County is it's right outside of New York City. Like you can't in New York State. New York City is basically um, its own platform type thing with the TLC and
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft and everything has to regulate. They're regulated through the TLC because TLC is in charge of um, all the rideshare down there. And but once you get out of New York City, right where the Bronx end, there's a nice little sign that says Westchester County, and my app will go on from there anywhere else in the state. I can also do rideshare in Long Island, which I did
Okay.
when I was down there.
Right. They just want you staying away from
You
the
just
city.
you can't do it in the Bronx, you can't do it in Manhattan, the five boroughs, which in Staten Island, um, Brooklyn, and there's another one. There's
Well,
five boroughs, and you can't do it in.
you
And
got
if
mid.
Noah's
I don't
watching,
know
he's
if
gonna
they're the
kill me.
boroughs, but I know there's Midtown. There's yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
Remember
there's the
what the boroughs
Bronx,
are.
there's Manhattan, there's
Hmm.
Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Queens.
Okay, there you
Those are
go.
the five boroughs of New York City. Those
Nice
and
job.
everything just kind of goes outwards from there. Those boroughs,
Right.
like Harlem, I did not know Harlem. I thought Harlem was its own borough, but actually, it's part of Manhattan.
Oh, really? I was gonna say it was
I
part
had
of
no idea.
Brooklyn.
No, Brooklyn is
Or
No, Brooklyn is further. It's you got to go over the
even though I'm not
Brooklyn
supposed to,
Bridge.
I've been to New York enough times that I still even I know I'm not supposed to, but I always think of it like how Denver's all spread apart. Like, oh yeah, these are the different little cities, but it's just not. It's a different thing. But
Oh yeah, well
what
it's
if you're a rideshare driver that gets a ride into the city? Can
I can do
are you
that.
allowed to leave,
I
or do you
can
have
do
to
that.
deadhead out?
Well, it all depends. See, now that's where I started doing DoorDash in the city. I can do DoorDash. I can do the food deliveries in the city. So if I were in say White Plains is where I go. I stay where the most. All right.
Okay.
So if I get a ride from White Plains and I have to take them out to like Yankee Stadium or something like that, that's close to Manhattan, which I will definitely get food orders for. And you can't, it's hard to work in Manhattan because of the parking. You can't double park. You have to, it's got to be a legal parking spot in order to park anywhere in Manhattan. And a lot of areas in Manhattan is commercial only parking from Monday to Saturday. I think Saturday to like 2 or something. And then
Hmm.
Sunday you can park. But in Manhattan, they like the NYPD have their own tow trucks. I saw some DoorDash drivers car literally get towed away. I mean, so they
Oh,
don't have to
they
call for a tow. They have their own towing business. The police will actually call them to come get your car.
they still have NYPD.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Well, I'm just saying because a lot of seem to have left. I was trying to make a joke, but it went
Yeah.
bad.
Well, right over my
So,
head.
but here's the other thing. So yeah, this is where I wanted to get. This is where so you deliver food in Syracuse, Buffalo, New York City, which when you noted that to me, you said 5 hours away, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Virginia. I'm only
Yeah.
guessing as a traveler myself that you know people, and when you go do these, you're like doing it for a few days and staying with people down there. I mean, you're not driving down to New York City and back just
No,
to work down there for a day.
no, I really do. Actually, no, I get an
Seriously.
Airbnb. No,
Okay.
I
Oh,
get
okay.
a
Okay.
Airbnb on the weekends in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Virginia, I stayed with I don't know if you know her, Double M.
Mm-hmm.
She's another YouTuber, and she's always in the chats. I stayed at her house, and I worked the weekend with her daughter in Chester and Petersburg and stuff like that. So I still gotta learn that market. That market, I think it can be good. It wasn't good, but I think where I was starting to learn things, but then I had to come back. So it's a market that I'd still like to I learn,
But
because I think there's
I
areas.
got to ask you about the New York City one though, for example, and I'm sure rates are better and whatnot. But so you're driving hours each way. That's a lot of gas.
Yeah,
Um, and you're getting an Airbnb, and even at a good rate, that's some money.
yeah,
Are is is it worth it? I mean, are you making, or at least when
yes,
you did it? I
because
mean, were you?
that was one of the things. My friend Noah, who's the one that's in New York City, he would ask me that a lot, but then I would show him, I would show him my earnings and things like that. And I would be like, this is what I'm paying this weekend for my Airbnb. Roughly in gas, I would say about $100. I would put $100 as gas, even though it didn't come up to that, it would be a rough estimate. And
Mhm.
then food, I figured $50 for food. So, I kind of figured these out, and what I would have, it would be about $400 I would have to make to be even, and anything
Okay.
after that would be profit.
And can I ask how did those come out?
Maybe a couple times that I didn't make a profit, but I enjoy
Never that
it.
you lost.
I not
I
really
mean, a break
because
even at worst kind of thing, but like a couple times you
yeah,
profited at least. So yeah, I mean, because when
I
you said
probably
that, I was
broke
like,
even a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times, but most of the time it was profitable, especially going from getting a ride from Westchester, or don't want to say Westchester because it's right next to the Bronx. But like if I went from White Plains or Hartsdale or something like that, and I went into New York City, that would be $45 automatically
mhm.
because um, the travel time. I mean, New York City is if I go 5 miles down the street, literally it takes me 5, 6, 7 minutes. Now, if I were in New York City and I would go 5 miles, it'd probably take me a good 45 minutes. Maybe, well, no, not 45 minutes, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, give or take what time I was doing it. It's it's
You,
pretty backed up
you made
in the
me think of
city.
a really random idea. So when you when you were leaving Syracuse, you could have drove to the Syracuse bus station and looked for people getting on Manhattan buses and said, "Listen,
I never thought of that,
you
but
you pay all the gas and just make sure that they don't seem sketchy, but you pay all the
if
gas."
I'm picking somebody up at the bus station, oh, okay, and Syracuse bus station, yeah, that's not sketchy at all. They're gonna wonder about me.
Well, Uber and Lyft are sketchy, and we do that.
Yeah, but usually if I pick them up at the bus station, it's because I'm taking them to their home or
Right, I
something,
meant
or
like
to the
kinda
university.
like poaching the line, like standing against the wall like this, just kinda gauging people up and down, like, "He looks like," and,
I
the
have
ones buying
done.
Manhattan.
I have on my way home though. I have turned on my app, um, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and my Uber, and I would do that on my way home because I had to learn that. That was another thing I had to learn. I knew how to get there, but leaving the city to come back to Syracuse was really difficult. And for the longest time, I would have to do the navigation, which took me into New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and back into New York, where now
You
I know that I can take um, 87 to 17 back into, and then hit 81 back into where I live. So, I mean, even just, yeah, it's
I mean, were you ever
learning it
using
was,
the destination filters or trying them to
yep.
see if, like, even, like, changing it to, like, I don't know, do you go through Albany going to
I would use the Lyft destination mode because if I used the Ubers, it wouldn't give me any rides. And I knew
Mhm.
when I went through Binghamton, the map was always red for rideshare. And I'm like, if I'm going by it or if I'm around it, why am I not getting anything? So I let that pass a couple of times and then I decided I'll just turn it off. And then I started getting hit with a bunch of rides. So that's when I learned to use the Lyft destination mode to come back home. But I would use the Uber app to, it was the only way it would go off. If I was on the Uber destination, it wouldn't give me any rides because I think it was thinking that maybe I wanted to ride all the way to Syracuse. I don't know. But it
Right.
wouldn't give me any rides.
You know what I've had a lot of people tell me. I never really tried this for myself because, well, I'll tell you what I do in the winter, or used to do when it was profitable, but, a lot of my friends who wanted to go back and forth between Colorado Springs and Denver, which is about, an hour and 15-minute drive. But whenever they would wanna do that, they would find that if they put Colorado Springs in the destination with Uber, they would never ever get the ride, but if they put Colorado Springs Airport,
Yeah.
they would get a ride because that was it was I think it was flagging Uber that this guy's going to the airport and he's looking for somebody to go down that also needs to get there. So either you get matched, sometimes they'd get an actual to the airport run, and they weren't
Yeah.
even going there. It was just the trick, one of the tricks around putting Colorado Springs, instead putting Colorado Springs International Airport
Maybe
seemed to
try that
help
next time.
with locations, yeah. So here was my trick though, and I gotta tell you, this worked for like 4 years for me, and I talked about this on the podcast a lot, but I've never talked about it on anything YouTube. So, in the winters, I snowboard all the time. This is like my 30th year. I've taken Avalanche 1, I'm taking Avalanche 2. I'm trying to get certified for backcountry search and rescue. So I'm pretty intense. And usually if I'm not riding the backcountry with some friends, because it's only a handful of people that I can ride with in the backcountry who use beacons and all the equipment and stuff and know what they're doing. But then there's a bunch of resorts that we like to go to that, I have a pass at Copper and a couple other mountains and whatnot. So I would go up and ride Copper all day. And normally I'd ride till 4 when the lifts close. But what I would do is roll in for first lift, ride from like 8 till and I got friends up in Summit County too. And then within 15 miles, you have Keystone, Breckenridge, A Basin, Copper. You got a bunch of big mountains. And so a lot of people stay up there. What I would do is ride till 2, stop wherever I was staying, go take a shower. Even if it was like you were doing, there's like $79 hotel rooms up there, old hunting cabins and stuff you can rent. And whatever it was, I'd go shower. And by 4 o'clock, I'd be in Breckenridge. And by 4:30 in Breckenridge, the multiplier went from 5 to 13% till about midnight. And all it was driving millionaires and kabillionaires up this one road called Ski Hill Road off Main Street, where all the restaurants and bars are. And all they do is be going up to these mansions. I mean, it'd be 15-minute rides for like $140 a ride. It was I did this for like 3 years in a row. And so snowboarding's my thing. So if I didn't have my kid, I was up there and I would just live up there every weekend. I would work, I would ride all day, and I'd drive around all night. And I didn't have to take people's gear. I always laughed because the other drivers that did in the day would pick you up and you'd have your skis and your snowboard and your boots and all this muddy junk, throwing it in their car. I was getting the crowd that had already gone home or to the house they're renting, dropped all their stuff off, put in their dinner clothes or their drinking clothes.
Nice.
So I wasn't dealing with any of the junk and I was getting all the fun out. I mean, I had 3 years that just were the best. And in fact, Vail used to charge us, and you used to have to go into the Vail police station and pay $50 every year if you'd be dropping off or picking up in Vail. And this was like 2016 to 2019. And it was really weird because I hadn't even heard of it any other place in the country. But the Vail Police Department said if Uber and Lyft are going to be here, you had to go into the police station. There's only one in Vail. You had to go in there and say, I'm a rideshare driver, and they'd say $50. And they'd sign this thing that they made, and they'd just say, here, you can drive for a year. And if you got pulled over without that, they'd write you a ticket too. I never understood how they were doing all this, and all these other places were not.
They still do that, but you don't do that anymore, right?
No, well, I don't know, because it died out. They started, people started catching on, and they started, I don't know, a lot of people up in Summit County too, like all work at the resorts or else they work in the bars and stuff. And like the summers are rough, almost like a college town because it's dead. Even though a lot of people are up there in the summer doing their thing, it's just not winter. So people try and make money up there too. So for like 3 years, we were all doing this, and just I'd see all the other drivers on Main Street, but it hadn't really, oddly, it lasted that long, 3 years, because there's a lot of people in Summit County where they weren't getting turned on to it. Like, hey, we should be doing this. They're making a lot of money.
Did you do the 2-phone trick?
It wasn't just me. There was a couple other drivers, and my friend Darren used to drive up there, and I would love it because you stay until Sunday. Yeah, okay, well, let's get a room together. Let's split a room, $80, 40 each. Barely be in there and just work and ride. And but yeah, those kind of days are just they're gone. If I were to go up there now, I'd probably still do really well, but it would just be sad because I'd do like a fifth of what I used to. I don't know, but I did want to. There's some new people in here too. Truth Warrior, what's up? Hannibal, I saw in here.
I saw Omar's in here too.
Omar.
I have to put my glasses on because I can't see anything without them. I can't read anything without my glasses, so I put my glasses on to see. Hi, Mr. Flex.
I mean, I don't know. I sorry guys, I haven't been watching this fully. Sometimes I'm so used to doing podcasting, you guys, that I'm not used to watching the live stream. But I'm just looking real quick, and it looks like you guys are taking care of yourselves, so that's awesome.
Well,
Lots of
usually
prop.
I'm the one. I'm in the live stream.
I know. Usually I am too, and there's a lot of people in there giving you a lot of good props, and a lot of asking
Thank you.
how I got you on. It was pure threats, guys. I just threatened her, and she said yes.
Seriously, I almost canceled 2 days ago. I really almost did.
Oh my god. Why? Nerves?
Yeah,
No.
nerves. I like I said, I do videos for my members, but that's different, than you know I don't know. It seems different because I've been so busy. I mean, we've had so many issues at my work with things have happened and stuff that for the past month or so I've been just going and going and going and going and going that I never was able to live stream or do a video. But then I saw I had members, and I'm like, well, these people obviously they're sponsoring me, so I mean, I have to do something for them. So I've been whenever I can, I just throw. Oh, I see you put William up on the screen. I can see the cat. But anyway, so I decided to do videos for members only, just so they can see that I'm still here, that they're sponsoring me. That I didn't want to, leave them out. I mean, I just been really busy. It's been crazy. I mean, at my W-2 job, not gig work, my W-2 job, and that's why I haven't even gone anywhere. I do want to go down to New Jersey though, hopefully within a month. And my friend Noah, he signed up for Corner Shop, and I want to take him in Brooklyn, or well, yeah, because it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to work in Manhattan. But I want to take him to Brooklyn and show him how to do Corner Shop. So I mean, I do want to get back down there within another month before the weather starts changing.
So I saw that that was another thing you listed, was that you're doing Corner Shop now.
Yeah.
But you can't do it in Syracuse?
No, in New York, it's only in part of the boroughs. It's in Chelsea, Manhattan. I think all of Manhattan, Chelsea, and I got an email saying that it's got 3 new locations in Brooklyn. And literally, you said you've been to New York City, right? So you know how it's set up, and how the
I've been there
grids,
a handful, and I still get confused. But yeah,
but everything is block to block. Like literally, when you go up a block, everything changes. I mean, that's the way New York City is. It's just great. I love it. But my Corner Shop app won't go on if I'm not in a Corner Shop area. So literally, one time I took a whole day. It was like a Saturday in Brooklyn, and I would park my car and try and turn on my Corner Shop app. It didn't go on. So then I'd go up to the next block, try it, and it wouldn't go on. So there's a Wegmans in Brooklyn and Flushing, and I went to get something to eat, and I'm like, I'm gonna try it here. Why not? And I get orders not in the Wegmans, but it's in that Corner Shop area. So anytime I do Corner Shop in New York City, I go to Wegmans, sit in the parking lot, and I'm able to get calls from there. It's the only place I know of so far, unless I'm on the in Manhattan on the FDR, then it'll automatically go off.
Is Corner Shop already doing like referral stuff? Like for you and for him?
I'm not sure. I sent him I sent him the Corner Shop link, but I think he was already in process. I don't know. I'm not sure, because they're not it's very limited to where they are, because they don't do big grocery stores. I noticed in New York it's all mom and pop stores. So
Yeah. No, I'm just soon. I mean, I guess I'm wondering maybe they won't have to because all the Uber Eats and Uber drivers will just switch over because they'll be like, well, these are flooded. I'll just go over to Corner Shop. So they almost don't even need to let us have referrals because it's like,
yeah, you can sign up for Corner Shop,
yeah,
but it's like in Virginia, it's not even anywhere in Virginia that I know of.
right.
And I tried I think I tried it in West Virginia and it didn't work. Um, I tried it in parts of New Jersey and it didn't work. So I mean, it's just it's not, it's in certain spots, which really
Right.
stinks because I love it. Because if you're an Instacart shopper, the Corner Shop is perfect because you already know where things are or where things should be located, and it's real easy to pick things out. So if you've ever done Instacart, Corner Shop is a breeze.
Oh, I'm not going to let you get off without talking to me about Instacart, only because your experiences are awesome and mine are a joke. Um, so this is Jason from the Gig Economy podcast. His question, I think, is referring to you, Lisa, on YouTube about members. He actually did his 100th podcast live last night, and he does it every 2 weeks. So that took 3 years to get to that. So everybody in chat
Wow.
should give Jason
Congratulations.
a big cheers because that he wasn't sober for it, but it was fun. I was part of it. It was fun. But
Hey, if
he's
you're
asking,
celebrating,
yeah, he's asking you, I think, about this members thing, and I'm kind of curious too. I didn't know about that. I didn't know you could have, I mean, like
yep.
without a Patreon or whatever, that you can do members through YouTube directly.
Once you're monetized, yeah, you can
He's
open
got
up a
5,000 people, so he could be, yeah.
Well, yeah, if he's monetized,
He's monetized.
you just go into the YouTube studio and you go down to where it has a little dollar sign where it says monetization. When you click on there, it's got the different monetization things for you, and one of them says memberships, and it's actually the driver sensei who showed me where the stickers and stuff were, and it's in that area. And I clicked on it, and I didn't think that I could do it. So, but I just tried it, and next thing I know, I got a message saying that I had a membership. I thought, okay, that's cool. And then I was actually going to shut down the membership because I've been so busy, you know. And then I saw that I had two members. Well, actually, CJ Kanoy sent me a message saying that to look at her badge. And then I had another member, and then I got another member, and so I was just like, well, I can't not do something for them. So that's why I've been doing member only videos, because I've been busy.
No,
I really don't have time.
I get it.
Like
Yeah,
literally, I did a video on the tips.
mhm.
I saw a channel. It's not a gig channel, but he has over 200,000 subscribers, and he just had a question, about how much do you tip? So I did a video on that. I mean, I've done video on something else that as it's pertinent to what we're doing in videos now. I just got them on my. I'll probably make them public, but right now I just don't have the time because when comments come in and everything, you want to get right on top of the comments. You want to engage your audience. I don't have that time.
Right.
So, I mean, and I know that. So that's why I don't do that. And I mean, I'm on YouTube and I'm in streams and stuff, but I really just don't have the time. So,
yeah, I get it. But I mean, like, that's the other thing. Like me, if I go to your channel, nothing about membership. Maybe I'll have to go back. Nothing stands out though. Like, hey,
you
there's
can't do it on an
membership.
iPhone. I noticed on an
No, I mean,
iPhone,
when I'm
even
on I'll need to go back because I think even on my computer, I didn't see anything that stood out. Like, telling me,
there's
hey,
just
you
a
should do
join.
this.
Yeah, you can publicize your membership, but I don't do that. It's just got a little button that says join next to the subscribe button,
Okay.
and I just happen to see it on my computer. Because I can't see anything on an iPhone.
Right.
So like when I joined UDM and stuff, I had to do that from my computer. They told me I had to go to my computer. I didn't know why. Because on the iPhone, I don't know why the iPhone, as much as I love my iPhone, there's so much you can't do to it because of Google. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just don't like each other or something. Because
Yeah.
like,
Well,
you know,
no,
when
I
you,
mean, I think it's a little bit of I think it's a little bit of presentation, and it's also a little bit of protection. I mean, I have my YouTube on my iPhone, you know. I mean, that can be
yeah,
dangerous because you can make an accident happen that could really be devastating.
like what?
An accidental deletion or something of a video, or you know what I mean? Just like you're in your account and then all of a sudden you're moving your phone, and I don't know. I mean, just something dumb. So you can still go through those phases and remove it from the phone, but I'm glad that it makes it a little tougher because I find myself having to get on a computer to do some of the things, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that, but so let's talk about Instacart for a minute, because
Okay.
you had an awesome experience with it and I had an awful. I mean, well, I'm doing it right now because I've done rideshare, I've done the deliveries, I've done Curry, I've done some of the side app ones, and at length too, and I can talk about them. So a lot of my audio podcast listeners had said, hey, you've never done any of the grocery apps, and I've said, hey, I don't even like grocery shopping for myself, so I don't want to
I
do
was
it.
the same way. I
But then they
was the same way.
kept saying, well, you know, you've done all the other things. You need to at least do it. So the last whatever days, I finally onboarded to both Shipped and Instacart. I
Yeah.
have taken a handful of Shipped orders. A couple of them were really simple, paid great. I have yet to take one Instacart order. I can't, because I can't find one that I don't laugh at out loud.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I
I'm
even,
talking the worst pay I've ever seen in
yep,
my life. I'm like, is this a
yep,
joke? I mean,
yep. They,
I saw an 80. I mean, like, I'm in Denver metro pretty much. I'm a little east, but not to Aurora, but I'm like just east of downtown. I mean, even out, like, they were trying to send, there's all a bunch near me at my store, but then they were trying to send me like 4 miles away to get 82 items on one for, like, I can't even remember, $4 with no tip.
oh
I
my
was like,
God.
is this legal? I mean,
I,
this is like, I can go make more
I've never
money
heard of it being
I can
that
go make more
low.
money at a sweatshop than that.
Well, I did Instacart right before the pandemic when I was doing the food delivery to try it. Because
Yeah.
like you said, I'm terrible at grocery shopping, and it wasn't so bad, you know. I started with delivery only, you know, and went into the store, figured it out. I mean, the Instacart app, for some reason, I could not get the hang of it. I could not get the hang of it. So I went into a store at my local Wegmans to do a shopping, and it took forever. Even though I knew where everything was because I shopped there forever, the app is just, it's terrible. The app is not set up by people who are computer literate, because literally I can run all the other apps. Instacart was so hard to run. And but when I got the hang of it, where things were on the app, kind of made it easier. And then during the pandemic, when everything was closed, that was basically my bread and butter,
Yeah.
besides my W-2 job. But
I mean, I
I
know that's the huge difference between how we see it. That's why I was asking you earlier though today, like, how do you see it, or yesterday, how do you see it now though? Like,
I see it. Oh my
because
God.
now I literally, after what I've watched, and if Pedro's still in here, I know he agrees with me because I know that Hannibal got him signed up for, like, he did it for a day or something. I was like, nope.
Yeah, I think he
But
doesn't like it.
but honestly, I mean, I literally, I mean, I've taken screenshots. I can't, I don't know if it's another thing you weren't encountering at the start of the pandemic was bots. I don't know if it's the bots. I don't know if they're grabbing all the good orders that fast. I haven't worked it, so I don't know. Like Shipped has given me some orders that pay me good. And one thing I really love about Shipped is when you're in Target, everything's batched together. So your aisle number is on everything. So it'll say, go to aisle 15 and grab these 4 items on your list.
Okay.
So, I mean, it just made it, you just went through the aisles.
I never did
So there was no searching at all. I mean, it just made it so it's
Wegmans
like, really?
is the same way on Instacart. They have the aisle numbers for what you're looking for.
I still haven't gotten one. I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm gonna grab the worst one out there. Because the piece I'm trying to do for the podcast, I was hoping, I thought I was going to be proven right, but I was hoping to be, or, you know, there was a hope that maybe I'd be proven wrong, but I was going to call it Insta Shipped, but I was going to take the P out and put an asterisk in it. Which, if you just did it in your head, you get it. Insta Ship. However, Shipped has showed me that you can make some money on it. I don't know, but I could turn on right now and grab an order with Instacart, but I am just going to turn on to see if, like, you tell me this is anything near normal, because this is some of the worst stuff. And I don't understand how any people are doing this. Like, one thing that they've said to me still is, complete 9 batches in a day and get a guaranteed earning of $120. No, thanks. I can do 1 curry run and make twice that.
Or make $273.
I mean, some don't pay that well, but I mean, most curry runs pay 60 plus, so 2 of them would be that. I mean, you know, I don't know. I just don't understand how they get people to take these batches. And I know that we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Like, who's taking the rideshare rides for that cheap? Who's taking this? So I'm sure there's some kind of strategy. I'm just curious, after the bots have already robbed all the good orders.
I didn't have problems with the bots.
Right, because they hadn't happened yet, and you were
they were. I did a video on them. Okay. Oh yeah, no, I did a video. What they were doing was, is they would, there was a couple of people who had computer systems, and what they did is they went and it's kind of like Maestro or the other one from Middleton Technologies. I can never remember what his is.
Oh, you mean
Maximo? The app that he uses.
For which one? There's Maximo and Flex.
Maximo. You know how you can set a preference to 5-star or 4-star, or you can set which restaurants you don't want to go to or things like that. Well, they set up these bots where it would only grab batches that were $70 or higher. So every time it saw anything $70 or higher, it would just take it. It would just automatically, the bots, the computer system would automatically grab those. And then whoever was doing the shopping would take whichever one they wanted, or like a lot of people were paying for this. So they would pick and choose which orders they wanted, and then the rest of them would go back into the pool again.
That's the part I didn't get was and
that's how it was happening.
It's illegal type stuff, but I didn't get how the batches were being grabbed and then resold.
It was people, because I saw this one guy's YouTube channel and how he explained it. Like literally, this guy wanted you to sign up for it, and that's what you do is you pay a subscription, like anything, and his computer system would be set up, and if your criteria was $70 or higher, anything that was $70 or higher in your pool, the computer system would already grab. Or like it would just take it out of the system, basically, from one computer to another computer, and then whichever batches you didn't want, it would go back to the pool. I know a lot of people.
What I wasn't understanding is how are these people getting paid? How are you interconnecting with them to?
They were paying a subscription to
Oh, okay.
these guys who owned the software.
So it wasn't
And
like a
they
per grab type thing. It was a subscription.
it was a subscription.
There you go.
And you would
Okay.
pay
makes a lot of
that,
sense
and
then.
they would do that. And I don't know if it was a monthly or weekly or whatever. I know it didn't last long. I mean, I know the guy I was watching didn't last long,
Yeah.
but it
But they're
would.
all over
Yeah,
still.
yeah. Well, because other people are figuring it out. Oh, well,
Right,
I know how to do tech. I
Yeah.
know how to do coding.
Right.
I can set something like that up. Like
Mhm.
Gary Middleton.
Mhm.
He's a whiz with computers. He knows what to do. He knows how to do apps, and he knows how to make them run and stuff like that. He could set up the same system if he wanted to, and to go from one computer to another, because literally it was one computer to another, because everybody said in a flash it would be gone. It was because it was going from one computer system straight to another computer system. So you saw it, but you didn't really, you saw it, but then it was gone, because it really wasn't. It was there, but it wasn't. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Because these system took it.
Right.
So
I don't know. I would think the system would be like Instacart would be like, where'd that go? Oh, somebody grabbed all those.
well,
Wait, why are they coming all
they,
back? I
right,
know
and
that they
that's
can be
why.
unassigned, but like batches, like
That's why a lot of people were getting deactivated, because they were canceling too many orders. Because now, if you have that criteria and you got like 10 orders, well, you're only one person, so you're only going to take one of those orders, and the other orders go back. I mean, they don't hold all those orders, and you don't complete each of those orders.
right.
They went back to the Instacart app for other people, whatever, and other bots to grab.
Right.
So it was just like a spinning wheel, and people who are legitimate shoppers who were looking at their apps to get orders were the ones who were paying the price, because they would see these, but they couldn't get to them fast enough. Matter of fact, there was one YouTuber, and he said what he did to combat it was he had a one of those pens, um, the little thingy that you can touch, a
For like, yeah,
stylist,
okay. Yeah.
and he would have a stylist that would he would use that would actually grab his orders
Right.
faster than the computer can.
It's kind of like
regenerate them.
like we were just talking about Gary Middleton. It's kind of like his Flex for Flex drivers. That's what his app that does. It just sits there and just taps it until it grabs them, because otherwise you have to have Flex open and you have to be doing it.
Right.
Tapping it to
And it's
just
a
hope
lot
you get
faster
something.
than.
This way you just open it and it just does it till it gets you one. And
Yeah. So
I can't remember what it's called, Flex Hold or something, but
I was lucky because in my market, I'm in a small market. So the orders that came through, I mean, there wasn't a lot. It was really oversaturated with shoppers after a while, because the only people who would be in the actual grocery stores was Instacart shoppers and employees by the time, like 2 months into the pandemic. So
Kim's side money plans. Kim says she keeps saying she will do Instacart one day.
she keeps saying it, but she keeps
why?
saying it. But she keeps saying it.
I'm on it, Kim. I can't. They're $4 an order. It's like $1 an hour. Like
I told her to do delivery only, because she's not sure about doing it either. Like a lot of people, and start with delivery only, because it kind of gets you used to working the app. Scanning, because you got to scan the bags and stuff.
Though. Like I always see the full shops on mine anyway. Again, my market, I don't know. I get like full shops. I don't get the whatever.
You don't get delivery onlys?
I've seen one or two, but they're paid horribly. I can't tell you how bad the pay has been. I mean, it's outrageous. And maybe
Wow.
it's
I
just
thought mine was
turned to that,
bad.
but I was like, I onboarded and I thought, okay, this is our honeymoon period. This is our first week together, Instacart. Like, what are you gonna do for me? You know what I mean? And it was like it all sucked, and it still sucks. Like I
I
haven't
saw,
taken one. I've taken shipped because they're coming through, and I'm like, I can see how much I'm making. Mileage makes sense. I'm making money,
yeah,
but nothing.
I've
Everything
seen
Instacart, and I know
$12 for
my
like 80 items.
yeah, and I know my store. Like, there's one King Supers real near me, which it's like a Safeway or whatever out here in Colorado. Don't know who has them, but um, uh, that's where I get most of my orders from. Just like shipped, I get most
Yeah.
from the local Target. However, I get most from this King Supers. First of all, this King Supers is scary. That is near me is just it's just always been kind of a crazy King Supers. I don't like shopping anyway, like I said. So when I do go there, I just make it fun. But to have to do it as like work, I've been like, you're gonna have to pay. I'm gonna have to see something. But now I'm about to take one. It's like a friend once
Yeah.
told me, before you ever move anywhere, go to the grocery store and spend an hour there, because those are gonna be
Why?
your neighbors.
Oh,
It's actually a really smart thing to say. I never thought of it, but
no, I would never think of that too.
so
But yeah, I would go into the stores that I was familiar with, the Aldi's. There's only one Costco in the whole area. So, and that's right down here by me. And I have an Aldi's right here, so I was pretty flexible with the stores that I have. So I have a Wegmans, I have an Aldi's, I have a Costco's, all from within a mile of my house.
do you know why Instacart is opposed to two people shopping if you've got like a double stack order?
They don't mind two people. They don't mind two people shopping, but they have to both be on the platform because if anything were to happen, like an accident or something, they think like a car accident. They're thinking something different. You're not covered by their insurance,
You also don't work for
and
them.
that's why they want you have to both be Instacart shoppers, or they don't have kids. If you have a minor with you, obviously they're not on the platform, and that's not allowed.
Right.
And you can get
Because
deactivated from it
that's almost like the
because of their
only way I
insurance.
would do it. When I asked my girlfriend, I said, like, hey, these are so bad. Like, if I get a stacked one that's even decent, the only way I would even try it, or like I'm looking, is like if she could take a list and I could, we could just go knock them both out and then get out of
Right.
there.
Like my friend Double M. Now she does Instacart. That's her big thing. Now when I was in Virginia, I told her, I said, I can do Instacart with you, but I had her daughter with me. So I couldn't go with her because I had her daughter with me. And so she wasn't allowed. I mean, like, say if they're cleaning the floors and you fall, you slip or something, you're covered for Instacart. But anybody who's not on the platform is not covered. So that's their biggest thing is liability.
Right.
And I saw a lot of people bringing their kids with them, shopping with them and everything. I mean, they were doing the shopping and the kids stayed with the cart, but
Yeah.
it's still not, even that's not allowed. They can't even push the cart. If you're actually shopping, they can't be in the radius of you or your vehicle.
I wonder if it
It's
was
just,
mostly based around the kids, because when I've worked pretty heavily with Curry's team and got to know like a lot of the team, and I was asked the question a lot, so I finally just went to went to the CEO, who I've had on a couple times and stuff, and I was like, can hotshot drivers have a passenger in the car even on route rides when they're using your truck, your 26-footer truck, which I've done, or using their own car or whatever? He goes, as long as they understand they are not covered in any way, if anything happens. So he just said, listen, you're an independent contractor, and they're a huge company now. I mean, they're still like growing and still not as big as the giants and whatnot, but they're big enough to like care, and they have a whole legal department and stuff. And he said, you can have your dog, you can have your kid, you can have your whoever. He's like, but they're not covered. Like even the partial that you are with us, they get nothing.
Yeah. So if something were to happen, I had to, every time I got asked that question, because I was doing a lot of Instacart videos at the time, people would ask me a lot of questions. So anything I didn't know, I mean, literally had to get on the phone with Instacart, and I'd be like, I got a question. And then, I would write down the answers, and then I would put any of all those questions I got in my comment section or whatever, then I would put in there. I mean, anytime I don't know the answer, I go straight to the company and find out why. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you do food delivery, you can bring someone with you. You can bring your kid with you. You can bring your friend with you, whatever, because technically there is no delivery insurance. So,
however,
it doesn't.
You are supposed to carry commercial insurance. However, I don't think
commercial insurance. I have rideshare insurance.
Right.
So, I don't carry commercial insurance, but I never bring anybody with me. My kids, they moved on. They have their own house and lives, which is the reason why I get to travel so much. So
I'm 2 years out. I got a sophomore, so junior, senior year, and then he's got to figure some stuff
out. Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
I love
Trust
you, Max.
me. I wish my kids were
son.
still here.
I love my son. He lives with me He lives with me 5 days a week. But I just part of my life back is a nice thing too.
It is, but my youngest is now in Oklahoma.
Yeah, well,
so I kind of miss him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they moved far away, it's different.
Yeah, my other son was in the Marine Corps, but I was still able to talk to him. But Timmy, like he works. There's a time difference between the two of us. So, when he works, I'm sleeping. When I go to work, he's sleeping. So it's really hard to talk to him. And to get him up here for the holidays is tough, because I guess now he's putting money away for Europe next year and whatever. I don't know.
So now here we are, 2018. You kind of started all this, and now you have your W2 job and you do gig work. Is the breakdown about 50-50, or you do more of one than the other?
Oh, heck no. I did a lot more in gig work than I do on my W2 job.
I'm saying now though.
Now I still make more money on my gig work.
No. I meant
only
hours you're putting in where though?
Oh yeah, that's like 50-50.
Okay. So you're putting in 50-50 at your W2 to 50% in gig work.
I'm full-time on both.
Right. So which apps are you finding most beneficial, and what you like to work right now in your area?
In my area, I like Uber because rideshare is popular here.
I know you listened to the Sergio episode I did. I mean, are you working it hard and making big bucks? And because I know a lot of people in a lot of cities making some really good money rideshare right now.
Not here. Sometimes I do, but sometimes not so much, because it's just my market is so small and so oversaturated. With the pandemic, everybody now is a food delivery driver. Everybody's an Instacart shopper, and I've even noticed that a lot of new lights on cars that says Uber. So now everybody's coming back into doing Uber. So,
but the rideshare coming back, even in the better markets, is still coming back slower. I mean, I don't know. Almost every market I know, if you're like looking to really, if you're okay with rideshare, I think rideshare is what's going to pay you best in almost every market
Yeah,
right now, if you're okay to do it right now. Again, to each
right.
his
Even
own.
without the tips.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and you can look at it and go, hey, it's 70 cents or 60 cents a mile and 10 cents a minute. And I'm not going to make nothing. Bottom line is, with the surging and all the things happening and the bonuses, and I know that a lot of them are games, but as long as you do them right and you make that money, there's a lot more to be
Right.
made in rideshare right now than
That's how I do it,
any.
is with the bonuses and the quests. Yep.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
last weekend, Lyft sent me a bonus for 15 rides for $150 bonus. And I also had to do 15 rides for the week for $150 guarantee. So last Saturday, I did all 15 rides and made $302. Out of 15 rides, I got one tip. Even though I helped people with their groceries to their house, I was as pleasant as can be, they were as great as can be, they didn't tip. But I knew that going into this, that they don't tip. And I was looking for the rides for the guarantee and the bonus. And I made $302
yeah. I
last
mean,
Saturday.
I a long time ago stopped counting in the tip.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is that when I onboarded with both platforms didn't allow tipping, so they were creating a culture of don't tip these people. So that even years later, when they added the tips, people were in this mode of like, I'm not supposed to tip you. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you are,
I
man.
don't
Your
have to
company
tip
just
you.
screwed up, you know?
I've been doing this long enough. I know better. But then a
I
lot
mean,
of
but
people think
I used
that
to have a famous line that I used for like a year to people, and I mean, I loved this. I always caught them, and even most time, I'm sure they just deleted it. But anybody that ever pulled that, because we all get into especially with rideshare drivers, we hear the same type of thing over and over, and each market's different. We start to hear, I mean, some of them are the
yeah.
same, but in some markets you hear specific things. But this one's pretty common in every market, so any rideshare driver can relate. Can I tip you through the app, right? I
Oh
used to
God,
get
you gotta
so
love that
mad
one.
at that one that I used to turn around. I used to turn around to the passengers after about enough times of it happening, and I used to say, "Hey, everybody always asks me this. Can you show me how you do that?" And they would literally lean forward and add a tip, and probably 2/3 of them got deleted, but at least I mean, put in something.
At least they were showing you how it's done. I
Right,
would
well,
get a
they
lot of
were, because they
cash
were walking
tips.
out of the car. They're like, "I can tip you through the app," right? I knew that they knew they could, and I knew that they were just not gonna do it. So that's why I was
Yeah,
doing it to them. That's why I was saying, "Yeah, I get people that ask me that all the time too. Can you show me how you do that?" And I
yeah.
could see it on their face. They were like, "Shit."
I had we have the New York State Fair that is in my area, and they at one time they were charging, even if you were a rideshare driver to drop off, they would charge you $5, right? So I one time I told one of the customers, I said, okay, I'll pay for it, and then you can just reimburse me. Well, they never ever reimbursed me through PayPal or $5 as a tip. So I don't do anything for extra for anybody anymore because yeah, I just
That's not
I
what these
learned
apps are about.
people. Yeah,
Make
people
your
say
money,
that
hit
that
your
happens,
numbers.
that you learn your
Yeah,
lesson. I mean, you're gonna do things until you learn your own lesson
yeah.
when
I
it comes
mean,
to customers
I've
and
always gone above and
what they
beyond. Even
say.
when I get mad as heck at the company, I've always gone above and beyond. I mean, if somebody needs help I mean, I see drivers complain about this kind of stuff all the time, but I never was
Yeah,
like that, I mean, it wasn't probably my
yeah,
favorite thing to do, but if they're like, "Hey," and they had 2 boxes in the trunk, like, "Can you just help me carry this up to the porch?" I never even blinked. I was like, "Sure." It wasn't
yeah.
based
As
on
mad as
tip
we
or
get
anything.
with
It's just, and then I see other drivers going, "God, he asked me to do something." It's like,
these companies, no matter which app it is, because they all have their faults. It's the customers that we're dealing with. It's the face to face that we're doing every day. Whether it be rideshare, like like I said, I mean, I did the quest last Saturday, and I helped people take the groceries to their house. There was other things that I did for these people, and I got one tip. I mean, I wasn't expecting a tip. It would have been nice, but I was dealing. I'm not dealing with Lyft at the time. I'm dealing with my passenger. I'm dealing with a person. Whoever. Like I had one lady. Her name was Terry, and I dropped her off at her house, and I brought her groceries in, but the way she bagged her groceries, her bread fell out. And then she got called into work. So before I left the complex, I got called back to pick her up. I happened to see the bread sitting there in the road where we were. So before she could even get out of the house, I was already carrying the bread to her door. I'm like, here, Terry, this must have fallen out of your bag when we brought the groceries in. So I mean, we're dealing with people. We're not dealing with the companies. So I mean, as much as we might not like the companies, that's different when we're out on the field. Like when I do DoorDash or something, like when I'm doing DoorDash and I get a restaurant, they're taking forever, but I know I saw the sign on the door that says that they're short staffed. I see that they're running around. I'm going to throw a couple bucks in their tip jar because they're running around, and they're going to work hard to get you your food. I mean, they see you and they're like, who are you here for? And I see that all the time in the stores that I frequent, But then if I go to like Wendy's or something and they're all just chilling in the back, talking amongst themselves, and I'm waiting, well, now that's rude. So I'm not going to, even if they're short staffed right now, they're not busy and they're still not waiting on me. So I'm not going to give them any tip in their tip jar. Because I've noticed since the pandemic, more and more restaurants have tip jars. And if you want a tip, you need to show your service. You need to show customer service, whether I'm a driver or whether I'm an in-store customer, because I'm still there for a person. A person ordered their meal from you. I'm just here to pick it up and take it to them. They just can't come and pick it up.
Right.
So you still have to treat me as if I was an in-store customer coming to sit in your restaurant. It doesn't make a difference because
the whole thing falls on you, and that's what a lot of people just don't get. I mean, I think a lot of people have become disillusioned with the fact of like, we're not independent contract. Yes, we are. I mean, I work in other areas where I do production and other things too, where I know what independent contractor means. Yes, we are. There needs maybe a little more definition, even if it's not regulations. There needs a little more definition to SaaS, software as a service, meaning digital middleman, which is all these companies are. I mean, they're not like going, hey, this is a good person. This is a good person. Can you guys meet somewhere and see if you'd work? They're just saying, hey, he needs a ride. Go deal with it. Once you've accepted that, that's your customer. You have the Uber stamp on you, but it's if you do something, if you drive bad, if you take them to the wrong destination, that's everything's on you once you accept that ride. And I know that people get mad, like, hey, and I understand this one, like somebody gave me a 1-star and it was a 5-star ride for sure. Or, I mean, if they had the littlest problem, it should only been 4, and then the trip was refunded. So they just did it for an $8 refund and maybe got me, taken off the platform. I get those kind of complaints. Those are different, but the ones that come in that say, hey, this is, these platforms, these platforms provide a service. And if you don't like the money, then you got to move to the next one or see what else you can do, because the platforms are never going to go, we need to really look at this model. And I mean, they're still trying to make money. They're never going to go, hey, even if once they're making profits, let's say in a year, and let's say they make profits the next 4 quarters. I mean, they're not going to go, okay, now that we're making profits, how can we take care of the drivers? That's never going to happen. I mean, like they really think of us, and They should, as independent contractors. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. You don't have to take these orders. It's like me with Instacart.
Yeah.
I've been on it a week. I haven't taken one because I'm not stupid and I'm not going to be paid like that. That's ridiculous.
Right.
But we are
Well,
independent contractors, and this is all on us. These apps are just
yes.
saying, hey, there's available jobs here. Quick jobs that you
Do
can
you
do.
want it or
want 'em?
not?
Yeah. Because if you don't, it goes to the next
That's
person.
right. And that's what happened with Instacart with AB5 is they changed their structure, because I remember they used to have, you had to schedule a shift. There was no Dash Now or, just signing on like you can with Uber. You had to schedule your shift. And when AB5 came along and everything else started trickling, and all these other states decided, well, we'll come up with things. Instacart got rid of the scheduling, and now it's all like how you're seeing it now, and most people are seeing it as just available batches, where anybody who used to do Instacart remembers having to schedule, and you had to do so many hours, and you could schedule yourself on Sunday and be one of the first ones to get which ones you want. And if you didn't meet the criteria, whether how many hours you did or whatever, then you would had to wait till Wednesday like everybody else. But you got to do early scheduling if you work so many hours. And I think it's part of the reason why I do half and half and work gig work so much, like almost like a full-time job, because I was used to that, because especially with Instacart, because in order to keep my scheduling, I had to maintain so many hours, because I wanted to be one of the early birds on Sunday at 6 o'clock to get into my app and schedule what shifts I wanted to work, around my W-2 job.
Right.
And by Wednesday, all the good shifts are gone.
Well, and that's when things like Top Dasher used to matter or whatever. All those factors played in because you would get better shifts, right? I mean, you'd get the kind of cream. And then once that was gone, it's like everybody had a 2% acceptance rate.
I have a 23% percentage
That's like
rate,
one of the
I
highest
think I'm
I've
doing
ever
pretty
heard.
well.
That's one of the highest I've ever heard. It is.
That's only because I can't do Uber in my market, because I know from doing rideshare that the customers don't tip. And so I know that they can take their tip back. So I don't do Uber Eats in my market, because I know that if I see a $14 order, that's because the customer left a $10 tip, and they're going to change it to probably either $1 or they're going to change it to $0.
Right.
So I've had it happen twice in my market. So I don't do Uber Eats. And that depends on which market I'm in and which platform I run. Like in Brooklyn, I'll do Uber Eats, I'll do DoorDash, I'll do Instacart. Oh no, I won't do Instacart, because I don't like Wegmans. And I'll do Corner Shop. But if I'm in White Plains, I'll run all my apps. Or if I'm here, I'll just do DoorDash and I'll do Uber. And if Lyft offering me a bonus, then I'll do Lyft. If I'm in Buffalo, I'm running all my apps in Buffalo. So I run 3 major apps, which would be Uber Eats, and DoorDash. And actually 4, because I'll do Instacart. Buffalo's got a lot of great grocery stores, and everything is pretty much right there. So it all depends on the market that I'm working in. Like when I went to Virginia, I ran Uber Eats, DoorDash. Okay, just those 2. So it all depends on the market that I'm in. Like if I'm in Manhattan, I will, before I hit the boroughs, I turn off my Uber app, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck in the Manhattan doing Uber Eats. And like I said, parking is a mess.
Right.
So I try not to do anything in Manhattan. I wait until I'm in Brooklyn or Queens. Queens, I've done DoorDash and Uber Eats, I think, in Queens. But Queens is is tougher than Brooklyn. Brooklyn's real easy because you can double park, or there's streets where you can kind of park real quick to go into a restaurant. Um, so I mean, it really just depends on where I am and which
Yeah.
apps I'm running.
One of the things I wanted to
So
say about you talking about tips was I really think these apps, all of them, need to go to a system where obviously if like I have a horrible delivery, a horrible experience, and I order food for my son and I, let's say, and we barely ever do it, but let's say that like we're ordering some that night, like, okay, well, let's say the service was horrible, and up front I put in $20, but I don't ever not tip anything. So let's say I just want to roll it back a little. There might be an occasion, or the guy like totally didn't show up or threw my food into the thing, where I'm going to need to deal with this. But I think as far as tips go, I think if you put in a tip, that if the only thing you should be able to do is add to that tip. If you want to add to that tip, great. If you don't and you
Yeah.
want to remove it, I think you need to call in and have a recorded session that is banked with that company on why you needed a refund on your tip
and why?
specifically, because those
Yep. Or
words,
they can just rate them badly.
right? But but then also if people are requesting that, take the rating away for that ride or that service, that delivery, whatever it is. Don't let them rate on that one.
Yeah.
If you're going to do, okay, you need to record. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, still take it away because they're going to rate you bad now. So there would be times that you need to, there shouldn't be rating anyway. And if it is, it should just be thumbs up, thumbs down. If it's thumbs down, again, you should have to either write a certain amount of characters on why, or talk to a service rep who is recording these files and storing them.
Yeah.
Because too many people get deactivated for no reason. But I think tip baiting is an easy solution. I think it's so easy to solve. I think you just say, hey, you can't, if you put, and just make it clear when they put it in, and once they start typing in the tip field kind of thing, like just say in red right above it, whatever you enter here, you can add to, but if you want to remove it, you will need to contact support. Because people don't want to do that.
Aware of
people
it, though.
Don't want to do that.
The customers are so aware that if they show a higher tip, they'll get their stuff. They'll get their stuff faster, and they're just doing that just to get their stuff, and then they can take the tip away. So, I remember back when Grubhub was Grubhub, and it was the only food delivery app. They used to, because I used to order from Grubhub, they used to have the gratuity included into the bill. Like literally when ordering, they'd have the fees, and it would also say gratuity. It was already in there. So you were already tipping. So, I did that, and then I would hand them cash. One time, the last time I actually used Grubhub, I got somebody else's food. I'm sure he was doing 2 deliveries. He gave me the wrong food, and Grubhub would not do anything about it. They wouldn't refund me my money. They wouldn't give me any credit or nothing for getting the wrong food. I was at work, so like I had no access to food, and that's why I was using the service. I never used Grubhub after that because of it, but they should really put the gratuity in there like they used to do it, and now they don't do it, and nobody does it.
Right.
And I think it should be added. A lot of restaurants do that. Like when you go to a restaurant and you get your bill, it'll have like 15-cent gratuity of your bill, and it'll be already marked in there. That's part of your bill.
I got to tell you, 20 years in the service industry, working in the bars, bartending, serving, I hated that. I hated the group of 6 or more that had to have the 15%, because usually that crowd, I could look at them, know what they were doing through the night, and I would know, damn it, I was going to get 40% out of that table. And now they're going to do the 15, and they're going to see it in there, and they'll still tip me well, but they're not going to throw what they just would have. I would always prefer, but that's different. That's not Rideshare. That's not these services. But in the bar
when I was a server, I loved it.
Really?
I loved it because I would always
you were a
get
high
cash
volume
tips.
shot bar and a late night bar, and Island
I didn't work in
bar,
a bar.
3 deep, and yeah. So
Yeah, I didn't do the bar thing. I worked in restaurants and for plenty of years, and I was a server, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the interaction.
yeah,
And even when I went to school to get
that's
my
probably why we're
degree,
rideshare
I
people.
stayed right. I stayed in customer service because I was in management now, but I enjoyed I enjoy the teaching and training aspect. I enjoyed, if somebody needs help with something, I enjoy helping them or, teaching them what I know so they know it.
Hmm.
And that's really how I got started with YouTube, is because I decided that I was too old to do management stuff, but I still wanted to help people. And that's where I was told that I start a channel, help people doing gig work, doing what you're doing. And I'm like, well, okay, that's pretty cool. It's got its ups and downs, but I still love doing it. I still love doing it. I still love helping people and teaching them things that they don't know that I know. And I don't know. I enjoy it.
I do
Always
too.
have.
And the flex and everything. And
So
I've always found, and I don't want the companies hearing this, but I've always found a way to make the numbers work. It might mean jumping platforms or switching back and forth or finding bonuses, quests, things like
yeah,
this, but I've made it work and stay within a realm of, I'm not one of the people who says this sucks now. There's no way to make any money. There is. You just need to
you
strategize
gotta
a lot
find it,
better. You
figure it
gotta find,
out.
yeah. And that is it. You gotta figure it out.
Yeah,
You gotta turn on Instacart and see they pay you $4 to go work for 4 hours.
yeah.
So,
You know that's not what you want to do. Yeah, you
mm-mm.
you just you really do. And like people talk about hidden tips and stuff, and they worry about that. No offense. And I don't know if you went through my videos or not because I did that video on Para. Sorry.
Mhm.
But
No.
anyway, you know, I've always told people what they tell you, what you see on your screen, they say that you're going to make $8 to do this. If you're going to do that, expect $8.
Yeah.
Don't expect more or hope you're going to get more at the end. I mean, yeah, it's great, when it comes up and it says you actually earned $11 or something. I mean,
Right, but
that's
there's
great,
something about
but
even that wording that should tip you off. You're
just
you're gonna make
it,
at least 8. You mean I'm gonna make 8.
yeah,
It's
just
like
if that's the number that you saw with the miles that you like, at a restaurant, that's going to be really quick and easy, then take it. Then if that's the one you're taking, then expect only $8. Like if you get more, then you get more then, but just don't worry about the after effects. Worry about now. You want to go to a restaurant that is quick and easy, that you're not going to have to wait, or you don't have to deal with employees who are just chilling in the back and not paying attention to you, where you have to wait, things like that. You want to make sure you know what your restaurants are, what time you're supposed to be at your restaurants, where to be at your restaurant. See, I can run my apps from my house because I have restaurants a mile up here. I have grocery stores both this direction, and I have another thing of restaurants maybe a mile and a half that way.
so you're in like a
Like
centrifuge. Yeah.
I'm in a great area.
That's
The
kinda
only
how I
problem is
am
it's just
too.
oversaturated now. There's so many people on the road doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And, you know, I see it. I mean, I see it all the time because I see the bags when I go into the stores. If they don't carry their hot bags, they're always looking at their phone like this, you know, how you do. You can just
Mhm.
tell when it's another driver like you. You can just tell you can feel it. You can feel all those other delivery drivers or something, or you see all the lights, so you can see all the other rideshare cars that are out there. And I saw
Mhm.
them picking up. I really did. I mean, I'm glad I started when I did because that's when I fell in love with it. but then it got so much, and I mean, I'm just lucky I don't have the kids at home where I can do that. I can do my W-2 job, and I can still go other places to work and
Yeah.
check out and visit. Literally, like I can. There in Buffalo, they had this thing going on for like the military, and so I FaceTime my son who was in the Marine Corps, and I showed him it. Like, I go down to New York City, and I got to see the Brooklyn Bridge, and I get to see the Manhattan Bridge, and I get to see all the luxury buildings, and so I mean, I can see that, and I'll FaceTime somebody or WhatsApp somebody, and I'll be like, "Well, look at this." You know, I also get to enjoy where I'm going too. So I mean, it's a double. I just win-win, I guess,
Yeah.
for me anyway.
No,
Because I've lived my life. I just now it's time to just enjoy doing gig work.
Yeah, that's how I am too. And I see Willie's comment in here. I see a couple. I see him saying, "Don't say it's okay," and about I think he's referring to the para stuff. My role just so you know, my role at para was to tell people if they're not 100% confident and feel okay about it. I mean, I could tell them the technical aspect of what was going on, but I would always start and end with, if you're not 100% comfortable, do not do it. So I wasn't there to sell. I was there to tell you, you need to be
Oh shoot! Did he see my
100%
video?
Yeah, but I think that's why he's pointing it
Well,
out. I mean, you know what?
It's not. It wasn't bad. It wasn't
let me
bad.
put
It
it
was
this way.
just
I've seen worse.
the one thing I worried about with para. Well, no, the only thing I worried about with para, and I did put in that video, was when it first launched, they had to get into your account, and the customer's information was there. And from what I understood, and from what I read, and I actually joined the guys on their YouTube channel and listened to them. They could see the customers' addresses and things like that. And I'm not one for giving out information about anybody to anybody. Like, I mean, I just don't. I don't give out phone numbers without permission.
I hear you.
I don't give out addresses without permission. And when I found that, I mean, Para app sounds great,
Yeah.
But when I heard that, that's what was a big red flag for me. It was like, wait, no, because if they can see their information, and their information's private,
Well, so
I just was my big red flag. This is
where the story gets a little mixed, and sometimes the videos that David and Jeff did, which is who you're talking about, I would watch them and go, "What the hell are you saying?" Like, so I mean, that's why at a point I started kind of taking over doing the talking, because I was like, let me say some things, because what I heard last night was this, and this, and David would be like, "But it's this." I'm like, "That's just not what I heard, dude." But let me just say this. In the beginning, there was like 700 plus people who, yes, we had to see everything, but those were our beta testers. They volunteered. Those were friends of ours. Those were people we knew.
Yeah.
We weren't like that. That wasn't even trying to recruit people. That was just putting the word out and saying, we need some beta testers. And then once they came around, we said, here's what we're going to need from you. I mean, because now if you go into Para, you create your username is your email, and then you make a password. We don't even see that password. And then it's what it's always was supposed to be. Like, now you just go in and hook your own APIs up. So if you want to use our new Grubhub features that launched 5 days ago, you can go into Para and you're locking them. We don't see. If you called me for support and said, "Hey, I need you to help me with the app and something's happening beyond just it's crashing or whatever," but like the simple stuff, something more deep, and I would say, "Okay, well, what's your email?" At that point, just so everybody knows, all I would see is I don't see password. We don't even see everything's masked, but what I would see is everything you've API connected Para to.
Right.
That's the stage Para is at now, is that I'd see, okay, she's connected to Instacart, DoorDash, this. but really that doesn't help me. And so if your question dove further to go, hey, can you fix the DoorDash is the one having an issue, what I would usually just do is say I've disconnected it. Now you can go back, because usually maybe people could always do this on their own, but sometimes they would get locked up, and I'd say I disconnected it. I can't do anything. You can go back in and do it. And in fact, to bring it around, we even had some of the beta testers calling in saying, dude, I was beta testing, just do it for me. And I'd be like, we don't have any of that anymore. That's gone. Like, you have to go back in now.
After I was talking to you in a chat, I was talking to you in a chat, I think it was, and you were telling me about the Para app and everything. I thought about it. I do have it downloaded now. And I see what you're talking about now, because once I knew that my customers' information wasn't being sent out anywhere, that's when you explained that to me, that's when I decided to download it. And I have downloaded it, and I'm not going to, now they have the predictor, and it's actually not all right, because my tips have been different than what Para has said. But I did download it after I talked to you. I read the information that you sent me, and then I downloaded it. But at the time, and when I did that video, from what I understood, that you could see my customers' information, and that's why I did it. That was my big hang up. I mean, a lot of people were like, they didn't want to use Para because, it was cheating, this, that, and the other thing. And,
that part I don't agree with. Because those companies
I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about the customer. I worry about people's privacy. And that was my biggest thing. Like, even
during
people's phone numbers. Like, if someone wants a phone number, I call them and ask them, do you want me to give it to them? I mean, literally, I don't give out any information without permission. So that was that was just my hang up.
More
and I explained that.
More what it was in the right, and you did, and we emailed and everything. I'm just kind of explaining because I saw some people commenting, so I'm just trying to get it all out there. But bottom
all
line
your Para lovers
or haters, I don't know. But honestly, I mean, like now we're doing like really cool stuff too that I don't know if you saw, like merchandising that is going to be in other markets too.
Yes,
and
I saw that.
Like for an Instacart shopper like you, that's going to be a huge bonus, because that's an extra $12 just for being in the store and taking 8 minutes to do an inventory count on a single rack, so that they don't have to have a guy come in and have to have a person with a salary who goes around to stores and does this. They're trying to find a way into the gig economy, so we're always trying new angles. But I hear you. And the other problem too was that now it's funny, we have moderators in the group, we have this, that, the other, we have a lot of people who are helping. And if you go to withpara.com, you'll see that on the about, the team is a lot bigger. It used to just be Jimmy, Jeff, me, and David. There was just the four of us, and that was during the time before DoorDash gave us our first and second cease and assist order. That was just four of us while we grew to 150,000 plus active users. So, I mean, part of it was too, like, we had just come out of this testing stage and we were past the beta and we were moving, and people's data was on them, but it was really hard to, like I've said, one of the biggest things I learned from Para, and it's not, I mean, it's just a life lesson, was that you can, I've heard this before, but I'd never experienced it. I've been in a lot of businesses. That business grew way too fast. Not only were we short-handed, but you hear about, like, if a business grows too fast. That Para was a perfect example of that. It really got out of hand real quick. I mean, we were concentrating on, hey, we have these servers in California, but we don't have enough power to do that anymore. We got to move to this server farm in Vegas while everybody else is having all these other things. So, but yeah, so to everybody in here, that's kind of my explanation on Para. And you know, nothing.
William
I can
said
only
something
say
in the
nothing
chat
bad, but
about asking hard questions.
where?
I love Lisa, but we're asking hard questions.
But we're asking hard questions. And then, oh, below it, clearly cheating. Wait, cheating is a term for game. Yeah, see, I don't know if he's talking about the cheating. I never ever
No,
saw it as cheating.
I'm wondering if they have questions inside the chat.
Oh, inside the para app chat?
I saw that and I was just wondering if they had inside your chat if they had
Oh,
questions. Like I said,
oh.
I can't really see without my glasses, so I'm
Hey,
not really looking at the
Willie,
chat, but I just happen to look over and I can see well.
Willie, if you have a question, well, where did you first? What is this? Where did you first see about the para? Just wait, I'm not sure if he just mistyped something here or if that's code. Willie,
If there's a question, put it back in the chat. Put it
yeah,
back in the chat, and so
absolutely.
he can
I
read
want
it.
you to before we wrap this up tonight, Willie. Like, let's get this out because this is something that other people ask me too. I'd rather just have it out there, you know.
Right. I mean,
If
like
there's a
you
question,
really, I mean, you turned me around about about para. So, I mean, and I was one of those strong believers against it. No offense,
yeah.
but I mean,
No,
I was,
I gotta tell
I really
you,
was.
I'm not kidding when I used to
So,
say when I said to you that like I would see the videos that they were starting to put out, and
mhm.
knowing those guys the way I do too, just the way that their brains work, I was like, you guys are, I hate to say this, and I know David, you know, Jeff, even if you guys are watching, Jimmy understands this too. So I just never it just never, the videos didn't feel right for what I knew was we were doing. Like I've just felt like this is not sounding, it wasn't sounding necessarily bad, but it wasn't sounding right. I knew what it was, and I was like, no, this
Right.
needs to be represented differently. You guys just
For
can't
people
plan to
like
go on
me,
YouTube and make an 8-minute
who,
video 10 minutes before you do it and say a bunch of crazy stuff
right.
that can trip people up, you know. It's
That's why I keep a notepad with me at all times. So if I have to write anything down, it goes right here in my notepad. So I have it for later. But yeah, that's I mean, that's probably what scared me and a few other people
I'm
either
sure. I
away
mean,
from it or why we
I can't
didn't
tell
do
you
it.
how
You know
many
what I'm
people
saying?
like you would call me and go, listen, I want to use Para. I see people are making more, but I don't know about the security. I'd say, don't use it. That's literally was my next
That yeah.
phrase. There was no selling needed. You know, it was people knew. I mean, because people would call me, is it breaking the TOS? Yeah, read it, dude. Yes, it's breaking the TOS.
Yes.
But
Yeah. That
you're
was
breaking
another
the
hang up.
TOS because you're coming
Yeah.
into Para and you're connecting your own stuff. So you're deciding I want to take this risk. And I was like, so anybody that ever showed me hesitancy, I didn't even usually push it like, you know, like, well, maybe I was always like, don't do it. Just don't do it.
That was the part of the TOS that I mentioned was the customer's information. Putting that out there. That was my hang up.
Oh,
That was literally my
and
hang up.
and here we go. And I think it was answered. It's Willie. No, I just wanted to know why Lisa isn't sticking by the anti-Paris stand she took before. But okay, so Willie, maybe you don't know that. Lisa and I actually emailed for a while, like, because like she said, we caught in a chat, or I think it was a Hannibal chat or
Oh, I told
something.
him how much I hated Para,
Yeah.
how much that I despised it. Literally, well, you do not know how much I told him I did not. I disagreed with it
Right.
over and over and over
I was
again.
gonna say, you know, like, and so to Willie, like, who didn't read our emails, like, she did, man. So, but I think I just, you know, like I did with a lot of people, I just
Hey,
explained it. You know, it just, I think it was explained wrong
yeah,
out
you
of the
have to.
gate.
Yeah,
And however, I still stick by, if you're not 100%, and I mean that 99.9 isn't 100. If you're not 100%
yeah.
or anything's worrying you about the TOS, because yes, on some of our features right now, no, you're not breaking the TOS. On some you are. I mean, you just got to look at it and make your own decisions, because now
Yeah.
we're not handling your data. We just have a portal that you can come into and connect to and use features if you want to break the TOSs.
And
It's a
you're not
personal
giving us
decision.
the tips. You're not giving us the information that DoorDash is not giving us. You're not giving everybody that information. You're doing that tip predictor
Yeah.
now, which has
Well,
been wrong because
we'd
you've
get
been
sued
wrong on a
pretty
couple
hard if
of my
we
tips. I checked, so
right.
I know
You know,
that's not right.
it's a really crazy technical thing that we did. We had to go in and pull all the menus for each city, literally, and build our own
Wow.
database on the menus. So then if an order came through in the code that showed the restaurant by a number like X7425A, and we knew that that was this restaurant here in San Jose, we had to pull all their menu items and build a database on that. I mean, we have we have our own type bots that can collect that type data. So it's not like doing it by hand. But then it would be rebuilt. And if an order came from there and it was 4127, it could usually place what items were made to do that. And so that's how the tip predictor is working right now. But the problem is that that's not what determines a tip. Somebody could order one sandwich for $10 and tip you $20. Somebody could order 10 sandwiches for $100 and tip you one or none. So,
Right.
I mean, that tip predictor really needs a lot of work it's somewhat helpful and people start to get a vibe on it, but it's not like the unicorns you would find in Para in the Day or every order.
Yeah.
When every order would drop down, go, here's the tip, here's the tip, here's the tip. You knew every time.
Well, you got Arturo. Arturo tried every time I was down there, he tried to get me to download it. He would show me, he was like, look at, he would show me all the texts he's got from Para and everything. He'd be like, oh, look how this is great and everything. And I'd be like, nope, I don't want nothing to do with it. And he tried, he literally tried to get me to download it without taking my phone and downloading the app itself.
Yeah.
And I was no.
See, and I saw a lot of that kind of stuff. People trying to talk other people into it. So whenever I'd get in the mix, I think people were kind of like a little thrown off. Like, why aren't you selling me on this? You're kind of selling me away from it. And I was always like, because you came in with an attitude that I could see. You're not sure. If you're not sure, don't do it. I don't want it on my conscience.
Yeah.
Like I would connect mine to there, and I would be willing to break the TOS because I think these companies are hiding, or I know they're hiding things from us. They don't want us to
right. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Well, I make my own choice. I would break the TOS. I think that we're owed to see that, and that's not okay. However, each person needs to make that decision, and some people that I might have made the wrong one. Who knows? Or nobody that we know got deactivated. But what if I had? I don't know. I mean,
all the drivers,
big world, so it's
no matter what, are owed all that. Everybody uses their cars. They get their oil change. I mean, like most of you, I'm sure I get my oil change done once a month. I mean, I have to, my wipers, I have to check my wipers all the time. Things like tires, like I was going through tires, like I would buy a whole set and I would get each one of my tires warranted because I knew I'd get a flat. And when I get a flat, I'd have to go over to Goodyear. They'd throw another tire on. I'd pay them $20, so they'd warranty that tire. So, I mean, yes, there's cost to doing this work, and we're owed all that information because that's just, but they don't want to give it to us. I don't know why. I don't, you would think that they'd want to give us that information, especially, but they don't want us. It's kind of like Uber, where Uber doesn't want you to go into certain, in a certain areas you don't want to go into.
Mm-hmm.
I think their mindset is, well, if you're going to take this one because we said it's $30 order, and nobody's going to take this $5 order. I think they want to try and. I think that they're thinking it's a good idea. It's wrong,
Well, here's
But I think
what
that
happened. When you and I onboarded with Rideshare, we actually used to believe that
yeah,
acceptance rate mattered. Oh no, my
right.
acceptance is down a
At the
little.
time, it did for the
Right.
longest time.
Exactly, it did. And so, but with food, it was supposed to matter as well. When AB5 passed and Prop 22 had to go through, even though that was only California, it kind of set a precedence of, hey, you guys can't be telling independent contractors they need an acceptance rating. So as soon
Yeah.
as so under like an 80% plus model, yes, you would need to then okay, I can see what they're saying about, all this, but that people might not take it or whatever. But when you got all the Door Dashers, running, 4 to 20% on average acceptance rating, you've got to a point where it doesn't matter if they're cherry picking. Somebody will take every order. And the cool thing about it is if you're 100% transparent, you're going to get the people taking orders that they want, even the ones who go, that's not a good paying one, but I'm going to take it. They would still rather see all the details anyway. Like, this sucks, but I'll take it.
But they
Like, at
don't. They
least,
don't.
you know,
They're not paying attention to what our mentality is. That what our mindset is. Like,
right. But
I'll
once
take an
that was out the
order if
window,
it's taking me to.
that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Once the acceptance rating didn't matter at all, they should be showing everything. Here, do you want
But
this
they
order
don't.
going to
They don't think like that. I don't
actually?
think that they
Right, I
think
know, but
how
here's the
we're
thing.
thinking.
Right, but the funny thing is we're not the CEOs, and this is the idea. This is what needs to happen, and it wouldn't hurt them. I think their acceptance would be
Right.
better, and you'd have drivers happier because you like I've said this before, you might have somebody
Yep.
who lives where the other drivers are like, I don't want to deliver there, but somebody might live there and be going home and go, sweet, dude, I
Yep.
want that order. That's my order.
Yep. Because it's going to take me home.
Yeah, I mean, and then you get
That I.
happier drivers. I mean, just the whole thing, I think, I always fight for transparency. Without the transparency, it's game on. And that's how I've always seen it is
Yeah.
that, I'm willing to take my chances because you guys are already cheating the system.
Yeah.
In
They're
business.
just not paying attention to what we say, what we feel, what drivers really want. You know what I'm saying? They really don't. They don't. We're 1099. We can have all the protests in the world. We can have all the strikes in the world that we want, and all they're going to say is, "Oh, those drivers just want more. Those drivers just want this." They don't realize that we just want what we're owed.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a lot of orders where I live is not a busy area, but like if I'm in Syracuse and it's going to bring me back home because I know I won't get
Mm-hmm.
no orders here, I'll take that order. Like you said, I mean, they just don't think that people will do it. Will go that far or will drive that way.
Or they don't want you going
You
home
know,
and turning off your app. Like, hey, if she takes that one,
True.
she's gonna go home and be done for the night. I know it. Like, give her the other one. It goes the other way.
Oh yeah, but see, yeah. So they won't listen to drivers. I don't think they ever will. I don't.
No, they won't.
They really just don't.
Yeah, even new CEOs out
So
there.
we
This
just
is
have to be there for each other.
mhm. So
Encouraging each other, helping each other along the way. That's the most. We have each other. We have each other to connect to, and because we can't worry about them, we have to worry about us and what
mhm.
we're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's all. That's bottom line.
like, yeah, I mean, like safety. You gotta, watching a 2-minute video on the Uber app isn't gonna you're not a trained safety specialist after that. Safety is being aware of your surroundings, reading the vibe, reading the room, reading the person you're dealing with, and not being afraid to cancel or
Yeah.
drive away. Do what you got to do. I
Like
mean,
they
again,
did
it's your business. People don't get it. It's your business. You're just being handed
what's
some
that
customers by a platform.
what is that thing that Lyft had us do on sexual harassment?
The rain course.
The rain.
Yeah.
that most people don't realize, like, if you brush up against somebody, if I was behind you and I reached behind you to grab this notebook, right? You're just in my way. I mean, you won't move. I say excuse me,
Mhm.
but you won't move, and I go over to grab the notebook. Technically, that's sexual harassment. If one person's body part touches another part, no matter where it is, the leg, the hand, that's considered sexual harassment. And most people don't
Mhm.
know that because they don't tell people that. Like,
Right.
there's so much things that people don't know. Like, I was in management for years, so I know all this stuff. And
Mhm.
most people don't know that stuff. I mean,
Yeah, me
even just
too.
like,
Yeah, I'm sure that you
even if I
know
push
this
you out
too.
of the way because you won't move, that's considered sexual harassment. Well, it's also considered battery, but that people don't know that.
Rain reminds me of of an app-based tips class. If you ever had to take tips in the restaurant industry where you like I guess you said you weren't in alcohol too much, but like not over serving and that kind of stuff. Like people send in
Yeah.
representatives and you have to take out half of your day and you get paid for it and you go there and you actually take a class and you have to answer questions. You have to prove you learned it. These rain things in
Hmm.
the app are just, did you watch one? Okay, go to the next one. Did you watch that one? Yeah. I mean, you can
You
leave
know
the
what?
volume down, be cooking,
I
and just
did
keep hitting
mine.
play.
I did mine as I was freaking working. It played
Right.
in the background, and then
Mhm.
all I had to do was lift up the app and then hit next or whatever, and then I just put it right back in the background and it played while I
Right.
worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people did it that way. I mean,
Yeah.
really, it's the same. It's the same thing, and they don't tell anybody anything different. So that's
Well,
why
we've
these channels are great for people who know what's going on and can teach other people, other drivers, what they need to know, because
and people gravitate to the
it's
channels they
just,
like to, and that's good. I mean, what's good
oh
for me
yeah,
might not be good
definitely.
for others. I don't know. Um,
I'm hoping Coach Jake comes back. I learned a lot from him.
mhm.
I learned a lot from that man. He's really good. He's supposed to be coming back onto YouTube, but I haven't seen a new video and I haven't seen anything new on his Patreon.
Hmm. Um,
Yeah, no.
I've kept you over 2 hours, and you got to be at work in 45 minutes.
Holy shoot. What time is it?
I'm Lisa's personal assistant for the night.
Oh my god. I leave in 10 minutes for work.
The only reason I even looked at the clock was because I saw the count of people watching going down because it was up there for a while, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" Um,
People are
but
starting to get
Lisa,
tired and they're going home.
well, no, because a bunch of people
They're
are in
going to
here, and there's a
bed.
ton of comments and stuff. I mean, I'm gonna have to go through these later. There was a ton, but and that's another thing. Thanks you for joining us tonight. But I was not able to keep up with the comments. A lot of them were long and whatnot, but it looked like you guys were all having conversations in there from what I could tell. So, like usual, I'm sure you
I
guys are all
appreciate
fine.
everybody for coming because
Yeah.
I was really nervous. I was so nervous. I really was, and
I know, and
I
you told me
finally,
that a couple times. I don't know why, but
yeah,
I mean, and the fact that I'm glad you didn't cancel because that would have been a bummer.
I was so close to canceling. I
Oh,
talked to
I would have given you so much shit
a
though.
couple of people, and I'm like, I want to cancel. They're like, don't cancel. And I hope they were in the stream tonight. Did you see Noah's Navigating New York or Double M in the stream tonight?
Double M
Because
was
those
in
are the
there.
two
I
people.
think Noah was.
Those are the two people I talked to that talked that. So I didn't cancel because of them. And if they didn't show up, I would be really upset.
No, Double M was, and I'm pretty sure I saw Noah in there for a bit too. But again, it was moving pretty quick. There was a
Oh,
lot of
awesome.
comments. So, but Lisa, thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us. I really like, this was again nice for me. Before we even started, I told Lisa that I've done a couple heavy pieces lately, and I just wanted to kind of run through the job a little bit and just kind of discuss whatever came up. And I think that was nice because some of those deep dives that I've done are just, oh, they just make you feel horrible because they are just evil things. But
Well, it
tonight was
makes me
fun, and I'm
feel
glad we
better.
got to do
Like,
this.
I remembered why I was doing YouTube to begin with, and I really hope my schedule comes back down enough where I can do YouTube again. I miss the interaction. I really do. I that's one thing I love. And like Kim Side Money, she has the question of the day, or the question of the day. Sorry, William and Monroe, but she does the comment of the day, and she takes a comment from her previous video, and she will read it before she starts her video. So,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Noah just commented here. This was right now
hey
too.
Noah,
So he has been here, and Double M was here. So, okay,
so that
guys.
makes me
Yeah,
feel better because I'll probably give him a call.
everybody showed up as far as I could tell. So everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. And Lisa, thanks. That was fun. I knew it was gonna be fun, so I'm glad you didn't cancel. Plus, I would have given you a lot of shit, but whatever.
Yeah, probably, but that's okay.
But this was
I
fun.
just hit delete on the emails.
Well, thank you for
I
showing up,
was
Lisa. It
bad.
was fun. And
Thank
thank you
you for
everybody else.
having me. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, guys, we're gonna
So
leave you here. So you all have a good night. Be safe and do something good for somebody. Okay,
at
bye.
least it's got to go to work.